Hey guys, it's Dustin. So it's a little bit later in the evening today. I wasn't really going to do an update, but I figured I would. Today's been kind of a long day, plus it's just been a really tough day for me again. I know I mentioned it once before, there's a kind of a big thing going on in my life right now. It's pretty difficult. I wasn't really feeling up to making a video today, but there are a couple of things that happened, so I thought I would. Of course, what's going on is my personal business, which I have no desire to share, but instead of leaving it completely up to your wild imagination, I will say it has to do with a girl, so I'm sure that surprises none of you, but that's personal. So that, and I've got a cold today, so between that and the cold, I haven't even been able to sleep. I'm feeling pretty miserable, but it is nice to be able to be out here with the birds. Pigeons are very good at de-stressing people, at least in my opinion. I would like to have flown them today, but I've been feeding them real well, feeding the young birds real well, so otherwise I probably would have weeded out my flyers and gotten them flying, just because it's relaxing. Kind of helps on days like this, but I've been feeding them real well. Want to keep their weight up real good. Make sure I make it as easy as possible for the new birds to adjust, so that would have been a bad idea today. You can see the white birds are still hanging out and snuggling. They've been the best of friends ever since I got them. Now they're not siblings. They are from the same loft and they're the same age, but they're not siblings. I still think that that one preening the other. I think the one standing up is a cock and the one sitting down is a hen. With them both being white, it makes it a little hard to tell who's who sometimes. I can still tell them apart most of the time, but sometimes it is a little bit difficult without looking at their bands. But I still think one of them's a cock and one's a hen. And again, they will be moved to the breeding loft once I move my next batch of young birds out here. So one thing I had noticed today, which I thought was kind of amusing, Charles, where is he here? Charles there, he's molting. He has completely molted out his tail. I'm sure y'all noticed before that his tail was looking pretty rough. Wait till you see him now. No tail. Now I didn't pull it out or anything, and he hasn't been attacked or anything. They all fell out. None of them have grown back yet. I'm not all that worried about it, especially since I'm not going to be flying him. It's already fairly well known that he is not going to be racing. He doesn't even fly around the yard, so I don't particularly care that his tail's falling out. It'll molt back, or it'll grow back. It'll just take a little longer. Usually with a really healthy, a bird of good health and good vitality, that won't happen. Usually they molt out their feathers, 2 tail feathers at a time, and those tail feathers are usually mostly grown back before they shed the others, but not always. And again, I'm not worried about it, but it's kind of funny to look at. And as far as molts are concerned, if we look at Bentley, where is Bentley? Oh, he's back here. That's why we can't see him. Come here, Bentley. So Bentley, if he'll come out here, which is not something he's wanting to do. Come here, Bentley. Come here. Come here. He's not really wanting to come out. There he is. Anyways, I don't know if y'all can tell, but he looks pretty rough. His feathers are pretty sparse. Well, maybe sparse isn't quite the right word, but he doesn't have that slick, hard feathered appearance that, say, those 2 birds do. He's looking pretty rough. But that's not anything to be worried about. He's just molting. And he's going through his first molt. You can see his bars are kind of messed up looking because some of the feathers were in it that make up his bars have molted out and not completely grown in yet, so that looks kind of funky. But he's just molting. He's still nice and healthy. He flies well. There's nothing to be concerned about. Just shedding old feathers and growing in new ones. And I'm glad he's going ahead and getting it out of the way. What you don't want to do is send birds that are molting into a race. And of course, this is just his first baby molt. They'll all go through a second molt in the fall, hopefully before the race, or at least I expect them to. Adult pigeons go through a molt twice a year, depending on when the babies hatch. Sometimes they only have one molt the first year, but anyways, not to be worried about. Just hopefully they've all molted and everything before the race starts in the fall. Again, that'll be in September, I think. I want to say September. Of course, it's not one race. It'll take like a month or a month and a half. I don't know, it might take as many as 2 months to do them all. I mean, there's several races, but there's Ash, Lou and his girl. But they're all doing well. I don't know if I mentioned or not, but I may not fly this indigo bird right here, which the bright lights shine on him. You can't really see. Maybe if I shade him, you probably can't really tell, but there you go. Now you can see. He's an indigo, and I bought him basically because he's an indigo. Now he could be a great racer, probably would be, but I think anyone who already races pigeons knows the saying: if you don't want to lose it, don't let it out of the loft. There aren't many hawks around here, and they don't give me too much trouble, so I'm sure I'll fly him, but I probably won't send him on training tosses. I'll probably just reserve him for breeding, just because I like to have some other stuff mixed into my flock. You know, instead of just having a bunch of blue bars or a bunch of blue checks, I like to have ash red mixed in. I like having the grizzle mixed in. I certainly wouldn't mind having indigo mixed in. He looks pretty cool. I still can't get over how cool his flight feathers look. They look like some kind of optical illusion, the way they are, but it's pretty neat. So I may not fly him. I really bought him just because he was indigo. But he should still be a good racer. He should still be from a good bloodline. He's certainly a nice looking bird, so I don't know. We'll see. I'll make that decision a little further down the line. I'll start flying him and stuff, and I don't know. I'll probably wind up just keeping him safe in the loft because he's an indigo. Once I have more indigos, I wouldn't worry about it, but if I lose him now, then I have to buy another indigo bird in order to have any more indigo birds. So, just a nice little thing to add into the loft. Of course, racing is more, their speed and endurance is more important than color, but I just like having a little more to look at. But yeah, now we'll head into the breeding loft. I just got it. Alright guys, I'm in the breeding loft now. Of course, I guess that's being Captain Obvious. Where else would I be? But it's pretty warm in here. Even though it is evening, it's still got a lot of heat from earlier in the day, which is fine during winter, but I really do wish I designed my breeding loft better. All I've got for circulation is I've got the trap cracked there, and then these two windows here, which does keep it somewhat dark in here, which is good for breeding, makes them feel safer, a little less exposed, but I just don't have good airflow. Some things I'll be changing when I build my flying loft. Speaking of which, I will be building that pretty soon. I've been saving up for it. Thankfully, I have a friend whose grandfather owns a sawmill, and so it looks like I'm going to be able to get good prices on boards. So I'm actually going to have the exterior of my flying loft be 1 by 10 inch boards, and then of course the inside will have, I mean, it'll be on a 2 by 4 frame again. Though this time the 2 by 4s will be turned like that instead of this. And then I'll have OSB again on the outside, basically the cheapest OSB I can get. The reason this loft is made out of OSB is just because I don't have a fortune to spend on materials. Otherwise it would at least be made of plywood. But I didn't really realize when I built this that my friend, sorry, like I said, cold. Didn't really realize my friend could get me some wood at a pretty good price. So the next one, the exterior, will be made out of 1 by 10 inch boards, which I will eventually paint, but it's not going to be as big a deal as with the OSB. It's not going to start peeling apart when it gets wet, so that's good. But and it's going to be 6 foot wide instead of 4 foot wide. It's a little bit cramped in here, you know, as far as space between one wall to the other. I mean, with 4 feet, that's a bit of space, but because I've got these foot wide nest boxes over here with a gap behind them, I've got a little less than 3 feet to walk through here, which is, and that's okay for the pigeons, but it just makes things a little more cramped. So I'm going to do it at 6 feet this time. It'll give it some more floor space. Instead of having the roof 7 feet high, it'll probably be more like the ceiling will be more like 6.5. And this time the ceiling will probably be made out of OSB, but I am going to have an actual triangle shaped roof on top of it this time. Probably also made out of OSB, possibly plywood, probably OSB, but it'll be shingled. So this time I'm actually going to have a triangle shaped roof with shingles on it, so it should be of much better quality this time. I don't know if I would say I raced into things with this loft, but I certainly didn't put in enough time and thought into everything. I basically just wanted something I could breed pigeons in that wouldn't be too expensive. And I had always planned to have another window right there. I just kind of haven't ever put one there. And whenever I move all my homers out of here, I'll probably go ahead and put another window in there. Get some better ventilation. If I could have this opened up completely, that would help too, but of course the birds would fly through there. And this is just the trap. Also, my door, this time, I'll probably have a plywood door on it, but this time I will have a 2x4 frame on the door so it doesn't bow like that. You can see it's bowed there. It's bowed out at this corner. It's bowed out at this corner. And then, I don't know if you guys can tell from in here, but it's bowed in right here. A little bit right here too, but it's not as noticeable as right here. It's bowed in a bit more. Also, the way I'm doing my new loft, it is going to kind of have some attic space up here, so that'll give me a good place to put training baskets, extra milk jugs. Of course, I'm not going to put my pigeon feed or anything up there. I don't want anything big and heavy. Not to mention I don't want to have to climb up there every day just to get food or anything. I just merely say that as that it will give me some extra space to keep stuff where it's out of everybody else's way. Oh, I'm trying to think. I was just kind of trying to let y'all watch the birds instead of me. The birds look a bit nicer than I do, but that's what y'all are here to see, the birds, not me. But I've been kind of meaning to tell y'all about that for a little while, because there are obvious problems with this. The flat roof is not the biggest deal in the world. I'm not worried about it kind of sagging down because I've got it braced with 2x4s. It's certainly not the best roof in the world, but that's not the worst thing. Some of the bigger problems are I have the 2x4s in here flat against the wall with the width of them against the wall instead of having them stick. I don't know. I'm not even sure what I'm saying anymore. But I have them like this instead of like that. So what I should have done is had these 2x4s shorter, and then had one 2x4 going all the way along the top. And then had my 2x4 stop like right here, and just have the screws coming in like this on there, so that way, which would have saved me on screws. I wouldn't have needed as many screws. I only would have needed 2 screws to every 2x4 on the wall instead of 4, and it would make it a bit sturdier. I don't know that y'all can really tell in here, but my whole loft is kind of like flexed. Like that corner is a little lower than that one. That one's a little higher, and then so that kind of did like that over there. And then it kind of did the opposite over here, and or no, I'm sorry. That corner is lower, I think, and that one's higher. And then this one's lower again, and that one's higher. So I don't know. It kind of just, my whole loft kind of twisted a little bit. Now I've got my loft sitting pretty level, so it's not twisted much, but it is a little bit. And if I come out here, you can probably see there's a bigger gap between the fly pin and the wall there than there is up here. And then there's kind of a gap again. And then you can see it's closer here, and there's more of a gap there. And at first you would think that when I put this fly pin together, or aviary together, it was actually kind of twisted, but it's not. It's the whole side of my loft is twisted a little bit, and that's why it doesn't go up against it perfectly straight. Not to say that the aviary is perfect, but it's mostly the loft. So, all things to think about. I will have my flying loft better ventilated, but I'm also hoping to put insulation in the walls. And I know it sounds really extravagant, like I'm going to be going to some kind of extremes here, but what the insulation will do is keep it from becoming, kind of keep the greenhouse effect from going on when it gets real hot outside and when the sun's beating down on it. It'll keep it better insulated. Ideal situation. I'm sure that y'all probably all either walked into a cave. Oh, I accidentally hit something. No, we're still filming. Like walked into a cave or a large concrete building or something, and it's just immediately when you step in there, it's dark and cold, and that's kind of the effect I want my flying loft to have. I want it to be fairly dark and fairly cool. Of course, it won't ever be like a cave or anything, not unless I was willing to bury it in the ground, which I have thought about and think that would be kind of an interesting thing to do, and I think it would work really well. It's just that pigeons like to land on tall things, so I'm not going to do that. Though I'm sure everyone kind of knows about houses made of dirt and houses that are at least partially underground, and I think that would actually work out really cool, especially in a hot place. I think that would probably not be a bad idea. It just would be hard to get the pigeons to land on it. But anyways, I'm not going that route. I'm just one of those people that thinks about everything, so of course I thought about what it would be like to have kind of an underground loft. And I do think that would work pretty well as far as their health. But anyways, so that's why I'm going to be insulating the walls. And then on the flip side, in the winter, it'll be easier to keep it warm. So instead of the environment influencing the heat of my loft as much, which kind of works out a little bit in the winter. In the winter, it does warm up in here from the sun beating down on it, but then once night comes, it loses the heat pretty quickly because the walls are just this thin. What is that? Probably like somewhere between like 2/3 an inch OSB. I don't remember what the exact was, like 19/32. I don't remember. Anyways, it's less than an inch worth of wood, so it cools off pretty quickly. Anyways, that's enough rambling on about the new loft I'm going to build, which probably, if you're like me, went straight in one ear and straight out the other without having something to look at. But I'll draw up something for y'all to see here before too long. Though, like I said, hopefully I will be building pretty soon, hopefully within the next few weeks to a month. But anyways, so that's enough listening to me. Alright, so my camera cut off, and I was just about to restart the video anyways, because like as y'all know, it cuts off after 10 minutes. But I was just going to show you the birds anyways. I was done. I was just basically telling you that's enough of me rambling on. So let's look at the birds update. So y'all remember one of these eggs didn't hatch, it had died. It was pretty dirty, and that was probably the reason. But here's the baby. We can see by looking at its beak that it's going to have dark feathers around its beak. I don't say it's going to be blue because that's not exactly what it means. What happens is with the white around their faces, get him to hold still. Anyway, so you can see the white around his beak. If there's white feathers around the beak, they will have a light colored beak. There won't ever be that dark tip to it, even if they are blue. See, he's a blue base, but he's still got that light pink colored beak. And it was like that when he was a baby too. No black and white tip on it. So that pigeon will probably be blue. It's very, very unlikely that it would turn out to be brown. It's very unlikely that either one of them, the parents carries brown. But anyways, so we know it's not going to have a very good bald head is more the point I was making on that with it being a roller, but it should be blue too. This nest is kind of in rough shape. It's just a little basket. See if I can break that one off there. I don't know. I'll just leave it. Someone might want to use it in the nest. But then Spot here, I checked on him a few hours ago, and their babies hadn't had, none of the eggs had hatched. But I didn't really check to see if they were pipped, so we'll look again. See, Spot's so much nicer. See, he's kind of messing up with my finger a little bit, but he's not really biting me. Y'all saw he was really letting me have it. He's going at me, but Spot's not really even biting me. He's just kind of putting his beak on me. No, he's not even going to do it. I love Spot. He's such a nice pigeon. Anyways, I'm going to totally invade his privacy, move him off his nest, and check to see if either of these eggs are pipped. So, because I don't remember when they should hatch. That one's not. Yeah, let's not let you break your own egg when I put it back. And then looking at that one, I hope it's focusing. I'm not looking at it through the camera. I don't want to drop it. Nope, not pipped. I should probably candle them and make sure they're not dead, but they'll probably both hatch pretty soon. And again, once they do hatch, Spot is going to be paired up to the hen that he's paired up to now, which is this blue check roller hen right here. It's a real heavy check. I almost want to call it a T-check, but at the same time I feel like that's still a check. Anyways, most of y'all will find that a lot of things in the pigeon world are opinion. Someone may say that bird is so dark it's a T-check. Others may say no, if there's any kind of light gray on it at all, it's a check. If there's any of this light gray, it's a check. But and it has to have no dark coloring whatsoever. But so you'll find that that tends to be the case in most things in the pigeon world. About the only facts we can give you are that's a pigeon and that's a fact and that's about it. But a lot of other stuff is just opinion. But anyways, so the reason I'm doing that is because I want to create some indigo check and hopefully indigo bar rollers. And start working away from the white piebald. Now I like my white piebald birds, and when I do use them, let me show you this particular pigeon. Anyways, this guy doesn't have eggs or babies or anything right now, so I'll show you when I have piebald. I like for about half the wing to be white, and I like for the whole tail to be white, just like that. And I prefer for the head to be nice and white too, which unfortunately this one has some dark on him. But for a good example, somewhere between the white head of this pigeon right here, you can see he doesn't really have much of a dark blemish, but the white doesn't come down very far. Oh, I know, I've got a perfect example right here. Where is he? Here he is. This is April. He is basically exactly what I want, except that he has a little more white on his wings, but he's got a nice white tail, and his white head, that's pretty much what I want in white pigeons. You can see he's got, if I turn him around, maybe you can see there's one dark feather in his head right here, which you can barely see, and because it's just one, it's covered up by other white feathers, but other than that, he's pretty much exactly what I want. Actually, something I just noticed, well, I didn't just notice it while I'm looking at it, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to tell. Let me bring the camera over here, hopefully you will. Look at this. April's eye, his right eye, the top half of it is orange, and the bottom half is bull. Try to do him like this to get him to look up more, maybe you can see the dark part better. But the other eye is just completely bull, which is normally what you see with white pigeons. But and bull just means it's very dark colored. That's usually what you see when there's white around the eye. But the top half of this eye is orange, which is kind of funny. His dad over here, one eye is bull and one eye is orange, and the orange eye has black feathers around it, so I'm not surprised that it's orange, because white feathers and bull eyes go hand in hand. So for him to have an orange eye with black feathers around it doesn't surprise me at all. Though with that being one of the first pigeons I ever had, it kind of took me by surprise. Though now I understand all that stuff, and it doesn't really surprise me that he's like that. But I don't know why April's like that. And it used to be a little more even. Now that the orange takes up a little more than half of his eye, but there's still a clear division. Hopefully it focused and y'all could see, but part of that eye is bull, so that's kind of interesting. So anyways, back to I guess I started over here, so I'll continue to work my way across. These blue check homers, they're babies that have come down out of the nest. Of course, I need to scrape out this nest box. I should start cleaning my loft before I do videos. But anyways, I'm probably still going to change out that nest because it's pretty dirty. But I'll provide them with pine needles and stuff, and they'll probably make another nest pretty quickly and lay eggs. The hen was sitting in it earlier, and I thought she had already gone ahead and laid again, which I'm kind of glad she didn't. I want to at least put some pine shavings in there, bury her on top of that poop that's in there before she lays another egg. My satinette pair, doing pretty well. They seem to be cozying up to each other pretty quickly. I let them out earlier and they weren't fighting anymore. Y'all remember I let him out several times, and for some reason she would seek him out and attack him. I don't know why. Grizzle homers doing fine, looking more mature than they were the past couple of days. Of course, I need to scrape out their nest box too. It's pretty dirty. Now you can see it's getting on their feet and their nice white feathers. But that'll clean up without too much trouble. Here's my ash red indigo roller frill cross, and it's and that's the cock, which we know because I did a sex-linked breeding. I don't have time to go into detail on what that is, but I did a video called sex-linked breeding. You can look that up if you want. And then here's its sister, indigo blue check roller frill cross. So you can see it's indigo. Maybe you can. It's kind of dark in the nest box, but I think y'all can see that. And then these are my other two roller frill crosses. That one's just a, I don't think that's a spread. I think it's T-check. We can see by looking at this dark tail feather, which unfortunately had a little bit of poop on it, that it's not spread. It's just a T-check. And then, again, that one's this gene that I don't seem to understand that makes him look this way and him look that way. It kind of looks like it's ash red T-check, but I've never gotten an ash red check from out of that line, so but it's not ash red spread either, and I don't even know. I mean, it's not recessive red, so I don't know. That's bewildering would be a good word for that. And then their baby, this one right here, just a blue check. It got some white flights from its dad, who has white flights, white tail, all that. I don't think it got any white tail feathers. No, I didn't get any white tail feathers. That's not really a big deal. I wish it had gotten the tiger grizzling. She's tiger grizzled, and I wish that had shown through. This guy going through its molt is again looking pretty rough, but this pigeon is plenty healthy, and it's you know, it's not real strong, but it's strong enough. His crop's nice and full. Oh, I was doing an update on. Well, let me start over my camera because it's at almost 10 minutes already. So I was doing an update on them. I suppose I should update you on their two older babies, and that is that's their oldest baby I have. You remember that I sold the other one, which is an inside pet now. But here's the older one, the black one, looking real nice. And it's got one white flight in one of its wings. But you can see characteristically carrying its flights under its tail feather. Mine don't normally do that, but you do see them do it some, and that's a characteristic of rollers and any kind of tumbler. If they're carrying their flights below their tail, it usually means they're some kind of roller or tumbler. Though usually they carry themselves just like a homer would. At least mine do. Different strains act differently. You can see April's really driving his hen. It almost looks like he's fighting with her. He's really not. He just wants her to go back to the nest box. He was biting her, the back of her head, and he wasn't even just pecking it, he was biting her and stuff. He wants to make more babies, and here's their baby, which is out of the nest again, so I won't put it back. But I found it on the floor earlier and had to put it back in the nest box. Hopefully it stays in and doesn't go tumbling out again. That might be it. I'm expecting an egg from them pretty soon. The hen's basically been staying in that nest bowl, though unfortunately this pair does not care to build a nest whatsoever. I need to throw some more pine shavings in again before she lays. And same with this one. I think they're going to lay again. That nest is pretty clean though. I'll probably still toss some pine shavings in it, give them some pine needles, but I don't think they're going to make a nest either. Oh, before I forget, they've still got eggs under here, my black hen and blue bar cock homers. Now that's actually not the hen right there. Well, it might be a hen, but not the hen. This is one of their babies, and a feisty one. Look at that. But hey, that's fine by me. So, looking much older now. Just about ready to go out to my flying loft here pretty soon. And here's its sibling, which is a blue bar, and it's the same way. Just about ready to go out there. But I'm going to give them a few more days. Probably I'll wait until these guys are ready and then send the four of them together. And this pair won't be far behind them. I may even wait until they're ready, because they're all getting ready pretty quickly. For some reason these guys seem to have matured a little slower. There's their mom, that black hen right there. And then this, actually I said I hadn't produced any ash red checks. Now that it's older, I can see this basically is an ash red check. So maybe all it is that these brownish, rusty reddish colored rollers are just T-checks, because this is his youngest baby, full-blooded sibling to both the black one and that brown one, but the black one was its nest mate. And it's doing just fine. I mean, it eats and drinks on its own, it flies, it's doing pretty well. So everything's going pretty well in the loft right now. Y'all may have noticed I still haven't put any pine shavings down. I'm not sure if I will or not. I kind of like having pine shavings, but at the same time I kind of don't like messing with them. I kind of don't like having to deal with them. But everything's going fine. You can see some feathers. It looks like something was killed at the bottom of my door here, but what it is like I said, it's bowed because I didn't brace it with 2x4s. I should have, but I didn't. And so you see when they fly around in there, it slowly pushes everything towards the door and towards the other corners over there. And the feathers wind up falling out right there. And probably some right here. There's a little bit of a gap there too. But here you can see better what I was talking about, this part of the door being bowed inwards. You can see it's not flush with the outside like it is up here. And again, bowing out. So I don't like that. I did fix my landing board. It's sloped this way just a little bit now, so all the water runs off this edge down here instead of pouring down through my trap and into my loft. So at least I finally got around to doing that. I did that like a month ago. I just forgot to show y'all. And then back out here. So they've already been fed. I'll probably feed them a little more. They weren't all that hungry, but it's a good thing that they weren't real hungry. It means I'm feeding them plenty. Well, anyways, oh, real quick, before I forget, hopefully my camera doesn't die. You gotta look it up, open up YouTube on my phone and look, because I prefer to say your guy's name. William Vault. You had asked, what is a bird called when its tail is silver colored? And I know I already told you this in the comment. That's when you say silver, that's the first thing I think of is a pigeon like this, and that's an ash red bar. This is also an ash red, but it has a white tail bar, which, by the way, I just kind of thought that was interesting. I guess that means that ash reds do have a tail bar. It's just the same color as the rest of their body, and that's why it doesn't look like they have one. Anyways, but that's the first thing that came to mind, but there's multiple reasons a bird's tail could look silver colored, including dilute and spread and all kinds of things. So, and people have asked me about what pigeons are called before. There's over probably at least 600. I was told that by a friend, and I completely believe it. There's hundreds of breeds of pigeons, lots of genes, plenty of which I know nothing about. But for the most part, I do know a lot about them, so I'm very happy to answer any questions like that. The only problem is I really don't know without seeing the bird. Now, I said it in a couple videos again, I'll say it again. I did just start a Facebook page for my YouTube channel. Sorry, I thought my camera had died. Anyways, I did start a Facebook page for my YouTube channel. It's also called Birdman29. The profile picture for it is the same as the one for YouTube. Spot in there, but wearing his bow tie. But you're welcome to go on there and either share the photo, private message it to me on the page, whatever you want. And then I'll do my best to help you figure it out, even if I don't know. I can do some research, and I know other people that would probably know, but again, I'm happy to help with that. I just really can't tell without seeing it. So you're welcome to do that if you can and do. Then of course I'll look at it and let you know what I think. But thanks for watching, guys. This video has actually been quite a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. I guess it's a good thing I went ahead and did one. I really wasn't going to today. Feeling pretty bad with my cold. My camera died. I was afraid it was about to do that. Anyways, I replaced the video, but it kind of saved me because I was going back on what I said and was telling y'all bye and thanks for watching, doing all the end part of my video without doing it as a separate piece. Which I told y'all I was going to start doing it as a separate piece because I always forget something and have to add it in there. And then it's like, alright, bye guys, thanks for watching. Oh, wait, one more thing, and then I repeat myself. So I will do that as a separate video, but it did save me because, of course, there was something I forgot to mention, and that is this right here. This is a dovecote that I built. Y'all probably can't tell very well the size from my video. To be honest, I don't remember for sure what size it is. I want to say it's 18 inches deep and like 2 feet wide, and then I don't even remember how tall it is. Anyways, and that's my hand compared to it. Anyways, so it's a dovecote, and actually this is kind of how I'm going to do my roof on my on my new fly loft. I'm going to shingle it like this. I didn't realize I was doing it by accident because I only needed like, I think this whole thing took 5, yeah, it took 5 shingles. If you were like me and didn't know this, see, there's our storage shed over there that my lofts are up against. All those rectangles there, I thought that was a shingle. I thought they were just twice as long as it looked like they were, or almost, or, you know, a little bit longer than it looked like they were, and the next one covered it up. But it turns out it's actually a whole piece that goes all the way along here. Those are 3-tab shingles, so 3 of those little rectangles actually make up 1 shingle. And it is about twice as long, wide, whatever, as it appears, because the top's covered up. So I was right there, but turns out they're actually pretty long. So it only took 5 shingles to do this. Anyways, I just walked into Lowe's and I told them I needed shingles. I told them I only needed a few though, and wanted to know if I could get a deal on a damaged pack, because even if the shingles were damaged, I knew I was only going to need a few. Turns out they come in packs of 20, and the one they gave me, I didn't realize until after I bought it, is architectural shingles. I don't know why they're called that. Evidently they're supposed to look nicer. I think it looks kind of weird. You see it's like a piece here, and then this piece looks lower, and this piece here, this is lower again. As you can see, that runs long. This is 1 shingle right here. There is a second one underneath here, but this is 1 shingle. I don't know. I think it looks kind of weird. If I had realized, I would have gotten 3-tab shingles, which are what's on the roof of our shed, what's on the roof of our house, pretty much what you normally see. And I intend to use 3-tab shingles on my loft. I think this just kind of looks weird, but I don't know. That's why it looks like that. That piece is really short. I don't know. I think it's weird. Anyways, so this is for white ringneck doves. The door opens up here. I got it pretty tight, which is good. The sides are made of oak. It's actually kind of warm in there. It's not ventilated at all, really. Originally, I was going to do the bottom out of rabbit wire, same as my big loft in there, and so having the bottom be basically 1 giant vent would actually produce quite a bit of air circulation. I was just going to put some kind of holes or wire or something up here, fairly close to the roof, so hopefully rain wouldn't get in there, and then it would circulate really well. But I decided it just looks weird on 4 legs, this small thing, especially since I want it basically at about the height it is now, the height off our deck it is now. I mean, it's about, I don't know, I'm holding my arm out straight, so my head probably comes up to about here on it. Anyways, so I like it at that height, but it looks weird with 4 legs, so I decided I wanted to do, wanted it on a 4x4 foot post, which was actually something I saw in a book about pigeons. This thing's really heavy. It is made of oak. Trying to pick it up so you can see. I did this cross section down here, and a 4x4 post, 4x4 inches, 4-inch wide, 4-inch wide post will go fit nice and snug right up in there. And then I'll just screw it in. I never did drill holes, but I'll have a hole drilled here, and again coming in over here, in between these and so forth all the way around, and that'll look better. But in order to do that, I had to put a plywood bottom on it. So it has 0 air circulation, and it's kind of like an oven in here. Anyways, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I may actually take a little bit of time just to make these plywood pieces right here, but I may cut away most of it and put a big hole right here with wire over it or something. I don't know, something to get it circulating. It'll be nice and warm in the winter, but I don't want to bake my doves. So anyways, this is the landing board. I still got to put it on the front there. If I can get it to stand up. This would be like if you were looking at it from the bottom, and the bottom here, if that were the front of the dovecote, that's how it would go on there. Anyways, I just threw them in there so I wouldn't lose them. But and I'm going to put pine shavings in. Of course, this would be a nightmare to try and scrape poop out of this with all these screws in here. I'm going to put pine shavings in there and hopefully not have to deal with that. But I've got some wider places here so the doves can make nests. Ideally, this should be divided and half of it covered, but this was a school project. I needed to get it done quickly, so I wound up not doing that. I may still do it. And this isn't flat. See, in my loft, I'll have a ceiling right here. It won't go all the way up. Looking at it now, these nails are sticking through from where I put the roof on. Probably not a good thing. They're actually not all that sharp, which I guess would make sense since I drove them through these asphalt shingles with all the little bits of gravel all over them. I guess that would wear them down, but I don't know. I'll do something about that so that I'm not, stabbing my doves in the head. That would probably be bad. But and you can see the cracks in there. I wasn't too worried about water getting in here because, like I said, I was planning on this being a wire bottom, but now it's not. So I don't know. I'll probably have to put something on there to seal it up. And you can see here's how I made the front. But I don't know. Anyway, it's a little bit of a work in progress still, but for the most part it's finished. That little wooden piece there just keeps it from opening up. So I don't know. It'll look decent when it's in the ground. I wish I had time and I'd put something along here so you can't just see these 2x4s. And to be honest, this piece of wood right here curves in at the bottom just a little bit. You can see, so it really looks like I just sat it on top of a piece of plywood versus it having an actual floor. It looks a little better over around here, but that did that to me. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It doesn't have a fly pin on the front, obviously. I'm really planning on hopefully the doves just being able to come and go as they please. Of course, not all of them, because small white birds in a world full of hawks, I don't have to tell you all how that would go. So eventually, so I'll keep a couple of breeding pairs locked up somewhere to keep making more birds. That sounded really bad. Locked up as in a loft. I mean, they'll have space to fly around, so you know, no worries, not torturing them. Just keep them safe from hawks. But I don't know. That might not work out. The hawks might just come and eat them all. But I haven't had too much of a problem with hawks yet, so hopefully that won't be a big deal. If hawks do eat them all, then I'll probably get some regular ringneck doves, because I really would like to have doves just coming and going from it. Kind of a communal birdhouse, I guess. But and we have lots of mourning doves around here, so dark colored doves can certainly make it. In fact, they're thriving here. But that was the idea. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And if hawks just want to eat them all, I may wind up just attaching a aviary to the front to let them be able to come and go, but stay kind of right there. I don't know. And like I said, it'll go on a post. And I thought about painting it. If I paint it, I'll probably paint it white. But I don't know. It doesn't look that bad not painted, except that I use like three or four different kinds of wood. I don't even know what dimension that is there. I've got light colored plywood here. I've got oak boards here. I've got this again, this little bit greener piece of wood that I stuck on there to make it fatter so that I could put these hinges on, because there's a little bit of space right there. And then I got this darker colored plywood, and then I have 2x4s, so that actually looks kind of terrible. So I'll probably paint it eventually, but it's not something I'm worried the most about right now. And after the sun heats it up, these shingles become a bit more pliable, and the tar will cause them to stick, and they won't be sticking up like this anymore. I need to put something dark on the nail there, the one on the other side, so you can't really see them. It turned out decent though, so that's good. But yeah, so I think that's it. I just came down here. I realized I really haven't shown y'all anything about this little loft I've got my extra cocks in. Good thing I made a separate video, which you'll see after this, but I actually just made my closing video and then remembered I'd also forgotten this and came down here, but you'll see my closing video after this, because I did what I should have and did it that way. Anyways, they've got water. I'm not feeding them every day. I'm just bringing them a large amount of food every few days. And there Steve goes back to eating again. But I just bring down a whole half-a-gallon pitcher full of food, which is certainly enough to last these, I was about to say 5, but I only see 4. I thought I had 5 pigeons. Oh, there's the other one right there. I was going to say, I was sure I had 5 pigeons in here. But anyway, so I just kind of dump it in there in the nest box. I have this feeder, but it's a nightmare to try and get this thing out of this little tiny itty-bitty, like 1/4-inch rabbit wire or whatever. Maybe that's even smaller than... That's smaller. That's like 1/8 inch, so it's terrible trying to get that out. But so I just dump it in there. But it's fine. They're all healthy. They're all doing well. They're just all 4 bachelors with no hen. Feel bad for him. Took him away from his mate so I could mate her to another sat net. Continue that. And you see they do fight in here, but pigeons are not like with other animals. They're not going to fight to the death or anything, and they usually don't cause any damage to each other. The worst they usually ever do is pull some neck feathers out. And you don't usually see pigeons with, you know, their, you know, a lot of feathers missing from their heads or necks from fights. Usually the only time you see that is if you get the gender of a pigeon wrong and try to pair 2 cocks together by putting them in a small breeding pen, and then they're forced to live in real small space with each other. Then they will battle it out, and then sometimes they do lose some feathers, but they still don't usually cause any harm. So here's Steve. You know, remember, Steve's not banded. His wing was broken as a, I say baby's not quite the right word. He was probably about a month and a half old. And his feathers don't grow back right for another reason I mentioned before. So, you know, poor him. But he still lives a pretty happy life. Eventually I'll build a bigger loft for my spare birds, as they are going to continue to grow. The birds that I don't fly and don't breed, I got to do something with them. Eventually I'll have a nice loft for them with a big aviary for them to be able to enjoy, and I'll be able to have a trap on it so I can let them out. Of course I can't let out, oh, don't want him coming out under here. I've had a pigeon get by me coming under this shelf before and got out, and that's not good, but actually never got that pigeon back, and actually it was 2 of them. So anyways, but so they're doing fine down here. The aggression's very spread out with all 5 of them versus just having like 2 or so. Of course, that white king pretty well rolls the roost, but they don't have a real pecking order like chickens do. But yeah, so that white king is being kind of a bully right now, but he's usually not that bad. White kings are a fairly docile breed of pigeon, especially towards people. But yeah, y'all remember that pigeon right there, which you can't really see anymore because I just closed the door. That was supposed to be a hen, but it turned out to be a cock. So yeah, so there they are. They're fine. They're not too cramped for space. They all have individual places to perch. Of course, this is really designed as a breeding pen. That's why I've got this one large nest box right here and the one shelf there. The milk crate just kind of makes a divider on that shelf, so that 2 pigeons can sit on it without feeling like they have to fight for the shelf and own the whole thing. And even though I wasn't expecting this originally, there's enough space between the milk crate and the ceiling that actually they do like to perch up there. But right now I just got these spare birds in it. But again, I don't believe in culling, I believe in selective breeding, so they're out here. And actually, I would like to be breeding that roller right there. His brother is the one being bred to that, the tiger grizzle recessive red roller hen I've got in the breeding loft. You know, the farthest back. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. I just showed you, so even if you're not a subscriber, you just saw it. But so they're actually brothers, and I like the way he looks better, and so would rather be breeding him to her, but I was already breeding him to that satinette when I obtained that roller hen, so his brother got put with her, and there's no reason to switch things up now. So and I don't have a white king to breed to him, which originally I wanted to, because that was my favorite dropper last year, but now that it's matured, he actually likes to fly with the homers now. And you don't want pigeons that like to fly as droppers, because you want them bringing the homers down to the loft, not getting them to fly a little bit longer even though they're tired. And you can do that with a flock of pigeons that's ready to land because it's tired. You send one strong bird up there and it goes circling way up high in the sky. They'll follow that one pigeon way up there, and that would be a nightmare at the end of a race. So I don't even know if I want to breed him now. Just kind of keep him and make him happy. He was a rescue, fell through someone's chimney. Now I'm back over here. I think I really have showed you everything now, so now I'll let y'all watch the end of my video, and I'll my end screen, end piece, I don't know, whatever it is, and I'll go in and get this YouTube video put together. Today is the 13th, and it's a Saturday, but as long as the video is, it'll probably go up in the middle of the night. It'll probably be Sunday the 14th by the time it goes up there, and you won't see it till the morning, but oh well. So anyways, I guess that's that. That wasn't the very end. Look at that, I just about did it again. Forgot to put this lock back on here, and that's a dangerous game to play, because I forgot it earlier this afternoon too, and I came and it was turned like that. Could very easily have come open, and y'all know it has twice in the past, and so far no birds have escaped. A lot of you would call that lucky. I call it providence, but better keep that lock on there. Now here's the end of my video for real this time. I think I'm gonna stop saying that, because it's always a lie. I always have something more to show you. Anyways, never mind. Alright, so I think that really was it that time, but I'll stay true to my word and make this a separate video. But this really was a longer update than I thought it was going to be. I guess I had more to show you than I realized. I don't know, but kind of glad I came out here and did an update too. It did help take my mind off of things. Can't say that being in the loft really helped my cold much, but it did help take my mind off things, so that's good. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all are enjoying this. Really enjoying the positive comments. Look at this pigeon, he's giving me quite a look. What are you looking at? Huh? What? I don't know. He's looking at the sky. I don't see a hawk up there or anything. Just clouds. But anyways, so thanks for watching, guys. But yeah, so keep leaving comments. Any questions y'all have, I'll do my best to answer. I do my best to answer them as quickly as I can in the comments, so you don't have to wait around. But I try to mention it in the video too. I'm a pretty decent teacher, but I'm not good at figuring out what I need to teach. My kind of teaching method is you ask questions and I'll answer them. That's really my learning method too. That's how I learn, is I ask questions and then I either answer them myself through trial and error or whatever, or someone answers it for me. So that's how I learn. That's really how I teach too. So continue to leave comments and I'll continue to answer them. I certainly don't know everything there is to know about pigeons, but I've got a lot more up here than I think I realized. So happy to help any way I can. But and I'm still learning all the time. I really enjoy it when y'all leave comments teaching me something new. Sometimes it might humble me a little bit and I kind of got something pretty wrong, but I enjoy learning too, so, and that's part of the reason I have this, not just teach but to learn. So, but thanks for watching that. And again, I've started the Facebook page. So far I've got 2 people for following it, so it's kind of sad, but if y'all start, those of you that have Facebook can get on board with that. It'll make it a lot easier to answer questions like when you're asking me about what kind of pigeon, something is, or what color it is, what pattern, that kind of stuff, because I have to see it. You can't leave pictures in the comments on YouTube, but that's pretty much why I created it, just to be able to better communicate with you guys and you guys with each other. I'm happy to share videos that y'all send me, pictures from your loft and that kind of thing on the page. But right now there's only 2 people to see them, plus myself. So, but anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Glad that y'all seem to be enjoying them. I'll be continuing to upload more videos throughout the year. So far it really has become kind of a daily vlog. But thanks for watching, guys. Take care.